Got a really special guest who is joining me on the Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline in just a few moments. He's here to talk about a great show that is happening at a theater in New York City on 42nd Street in New York. And I love when you take real people in history and kind of either put them together or bring them into a modern world and just kind of see what their take would be on things. The show is called Billie, Malcolm, and Yusuf, and this show is happening in New York City. And my guest who was with me this morning is the Associate Managing Director of the Castillo Theater in New York City, here to talk about the current production. John Rankin III is with us here on WCTC. John, good morning. It's Burt Barron. How you doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. And thank you for your flexibility. You know, this snow we had on Monday really just made a total mess of all the guests I had lined up this week. So thank you for making yourself available this morning. I really appreciate that. But a show like this, I love the concept when you take people in history and kind of put them all together and see how they would kind of interact. And that's kind of what takes place in this show here, right?
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. We've got Malcolm X, Billie Holiday, this young man, Yusuf Hawkins, who was killed in the late 80s in Brooklyn. And they're in heaven, essentially, and they are talking about their lives, how they've been idolized as a result of their tragic deaths, but how they also think of themselves as normal, ordinary people, and the struggle of both being a god or an idol, but also trying to reconcile with who you thought you were in your own life.
Yeah, and I if you look at the all very different and very unique contributions to history, I guess when you look at these three people here and bring them all together, is there any sort of is this more of a comedic sort of a show, a dramatic sort of show? Is it kind of a mix of the two? How does this show play out?
It's quite interesting. It's really it's got a bit of everything. It's a mix. There's definitely some dramatic moments. There's some great, powerful speeches from Malcolm X. There's some beautiful Billie Holiday songs that are sung by one of the characters, Mr. Thompson, who plays Billie Holiday. But there's also a lot of comedy in it too. There's actually a fourth character who is fictional, but kind of created to challenge the other three characters in their status quo, Amy Strait, and she's literally a hack, a really bad stand-up comedian, and she comes in and she changes the dynamic of their current situation. So there's got a bit of everything in this piece.
Interesting. Yeah. It starts at a funeral parlor. Is that where this whole thing kicks off?
Yeah, we actually started off in the lobby of the theater. It's a really immersive design for the show that the director, Gabrielle Kurlander, came up with. So we start in the lobby with this really well laid out funeral parlor and a funeral procession, and the audience is actually led from the lobby into the set, and the set is in the center of the stage, and the audience is sitting all around it. So you're surrounded, you're immersed in the world with the other characters as soon as you get into the show.
Oh, I like that set design. Yeah, that's great. Now, Billie Holiday and Malcolm X kind of predate me. I mean, I only know them just for what I've been taught and what I've read in history and things like that. Right. But I do remember I was in my 20s there, my early 20s, what happened with Yusuf Hawkins, and I just remember protests every night in New York City, and lines were drawn and divides were created, and it was almost like this is setting us back decades and decades as a result of what happened here. Hopefully we learned a few things, and we'll always have scars, obviously, over this, but and is this somebody, having Yusuf Hawkins in here, this is somebody that a contemporary audience can relate to, John? Was that kind of the idea of having a contemporary person like Yusuf in this performance here?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's also unfortunately the 30th anniversary this year of his murder. So it's unfortunately still very relevant, as you mentioned. Like, those scars never really fully heal, and it's important for us to continue those conversations, not as a divisive tool, but as a what are we doing as a society to improve and to bridge gaps and to engage in these really hard conversations that are important for us to move forward as a people.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, he's definitely a character people can relate to.
Yeah, the show again is called Billie, Malcolm, and Yusuf, and it is at the Castillo Theater. This is in 42nd Street, New York City. John, talk about the theater.
It's a wonderful theater. We've been around for about 37 years. We're part of actually a larger national nonprofit called the All Stars Project, and our mission is to help young people from poor communities grow and develop using the power of performance as a tool for that development in partnership with caring adults. So we've got 4 theaters in our space. We do a lot of great after-school development work. We're located, as you mentioned, 543 West 42nd Street between 10th and 11th Avenues. So it's right over the bridge or right over the river for anybody coming over from Jersey. There's definitely parking in the area. And you can get tickets at www.castillo.org. It's a really cool theater to be a part of. There's a lot of ways that people can be a part of the theater, not just come in and see our shows, but we also have volunteer opportunities if people want to work on shows, or, people who've been in high school and wanted to get back in the theater, or interested in doing lights, costume, sound, all that sort of thing. We have opportunities for people who want to participate.
Very cool. If anything, as people leave this show, John, I'd like to think that maybe it will make them kind of, in this modern world we live in, we Google everything. Maybe people will Google Billie Holiday and see what she was all about and what her contributions were. And Malcolm X, maybe we've all seen the Denzel Washington, Spike Lee movie, but maybe we want to go a little bit deeper in what he was all about and what he stood for. And like I said, Yusuf Hawkins, there's plenty of footage that's available online, being that it was such a recent event here. But I guess it's to get people to think and maybe to do some research and find out what was so important about these 3 people, right?
Yeah, I think that's the power of theater, to really engage us with new ideas and to continue a conversation. The play hopefully doesn't stop when the curtain goes down. Hopefully, like you said, you'll be inspired to research and learn more about these individuals who had such a huge impact on our country.
Yeah, hopefully the play will be just the start of what people begin to do with regards to these figures here. But a website, again, where people can get some info and tickets, John, how do they do that?
Absolutely. They can go to www.castillo.org. And it's all right there on the front page, all the information.
All right, sounds good. John Rankin III, Associate Managing Director of the Castillo Theater. This show sounds terrific. So thank you for your time this morning, and good luck with everything, and it was great to speak with you today.
Thank you. Great luck to you. Love the show. Continue the great work.